Okay, day 289 off the grid, and I promise this is just going to be a short little video this time. What did I get up to today? Well, I did a bit of work on the diversion circuit actually, and I decided that the simplest regulator I could put on the B shed to control the diversion output to that 24 volt bank was a simple linear regulator, but I'm not going to show that today. I'll show it maybe tomorrow if I play around with it tomorrow, because, well, it's the end of the day now, but there just wasn't much sun today, so I didn't have much diversion current to mess around with. So I'll play around with that tomorrow and tune it in, but I got it built up today so that when the sun comes out tomorrow I'll be good to go. Also did another couple of little things with this stuff. As part of building my circuit, when I build these linear regulators, I find I've got to end up making strings of diodes to get the voltage where I want them to be, and when I'm prototyping, normal length clip leads can be a real pain in the ass, you know. Your normal, clip leads like this kind of thing, they're really long, and when you just want to clip two components together you end up with all this extra wire. So I thought I'll make some super short ones up. They're not very useful for connecting point A to point B if there's a bit of distance, but if you want to just connect two components together really quickly for a temporary lash up, brilliant, eh? They made good use of these clips, which, they don't have much insulation, so I'm a bit dubious about using them in certain situations, but when you've got a whole lot of stuff laying out on a board, just components with raw wires anyway, they're fine. This is a bit of mil-spec cable I had lying around, just a dag end. I made up two of these. That is flexible, although it's kind of stiff, and you can bend it and it'll contain its shape. You can bend it right around, but probably mainly going to be used straight like that. So I thought that was a really good little, it's not really an invention, but I'm always running out of clip leads, and now, having a few of these will preserve my longer clip leads for longer clip lead purposes. And the other thing I did was this multimeter. This is a multimeter I bought from the warehouse here, which is basically our Walmart in New Zealand. I bought this 6 months ago or so as my secondary multimeter. It's my main sort of secondary multimeter, really. It gets quite a lot of use because when you've got a workshop and essentially two power rooms, multimeters end up all over the place, so it's always good to have more than one. And what I liked about this meter was, instead of having the off position on the dial, which of course on these cheap meters will wear out the dial quite quickly because you're always rotating it to off all the time, then back to the same voltage that you want to measure, it had an on-off switch here. I thought that was a great feature. Unfortunately, it was implemented really poorly and the switch crapped out. Here's the original switch here. It's just this little plasticky nodule, and it was just pushing this tiny tinsy squincy spring piece across the circuit board and wiping on a couple of tracks on the circuit board. And it didn't take long before it got dicey and you had to fiddle around and set it in the exact position, or it created so much resistance that the meter wouldn't actually measure anything. So I finally got fed up with that today. In fact, it was getting to the point where it was almost not working at all. I made the last readings with that today, and I installed this new switch here. I think it's out of a solar garden light, just a small slide switch. I just filed out this hole a bit bigger here and pushed this through, and it's just held in there by pressure fit. If I find a couple of small screws I may bung them in, but it does the job quite nicely. See, there we go, meters on. And I've got confidence that when I stick that across the voltage, I am measuring the right voltage, because this is a much better switch. Even though itself it's probably pretty cheap, but it's certainly a better effort than what that was. Unfortunately, it's not nice and yellow though, but there we go. Taking these things apart is quite an art in itself, but I won't go too far into that. But it can be done. You've got to be really careful though when you take out this dial, because there's a couple of sprung ball bearings underneath, and if you take it out the wrong way, they'll go pissing off somewhere where you can never find them. So yeah, basically that was the thing. So there we have it. That's day 289 off the grid. Oh, and I managed to plant some radishes today too. I didn't want to let today end until I got out in the garden, and just before I did, now they're watering in. So see you later.